Hey guys, today I'm going to make a video that's kind of a follow-up to a previous video I made, but I've had so many questions and comments that I know I need to make another video and probably even more videos about this topic, and that topic is tampons. Tampons are such a terrifying thing for young girls, it seems, and I remember being terrified of them. You can go back, I'll link the original video down below. And I was terrified of tampons. It took me a while to get into them, but once you figure them out, they're great. But there's a lot of concerns or misconceptions about them that I kind of want to go into a little bit more detail. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing I think all of you need to do before you even think about using tampons, you want to use them. You've read about how to use them. You've watched videos about how to use them. But the one thing you haven't done is, well, I shouldn't say haven't done. The one thing you need to do is get a hand mirror, go into the bathroom when you have plenty of time and no one's going to come knocking on the door, and seriously take the hand mirror and look at your vagina, because you have to know what is going on down there, what things look like, how things work, and where things are, or you will never be able to put a tampon in. You can't put a tampon into a place that you don't know where it is. So get a hand mirror. When I was younger, I remember my mom actually had like a hand mirror, like probably about this big, and I used that and I went, wow, this is awesome. I had no idea all this was going on, and it's fun to explore your body and know what's going on down there, just so you can, like, because when you're putting a tampon in or putting a cup in, a sponge or anything, you can't actually see what you're doing. You have to do it by like memory or by touch, and so if you don't know where things are, you're not gonna have any hope of putting anything in there. And that's why a lot of girls have said, like, I've tried 10 times, I've tried 20 times, but I just can't get it in. Like, I can't find where to put it in. So you may not have a hand mirror or like a little compact mirror. If you do, that's great, but you don't even need anything that crazy. Like, you can use makeup mirrors. So this is a blush and eyebrow powder, and they're probably kind of dirty. Oh my god, I can't get one. But like, dust these off because they're always super dirty. And like, you can't see it, but this is a tiny little mirror. You don't need that much to check it out. And just go down there, give yourself 20 minutes to look, move things around, see where things actually are. If you need, pull up a diagram on your phone or your computer, or if you have a book or something, so you can be like, okay, that's that, that's that, that's that, and so you're like, oh, it makes sense now. Then when you go to actually put something in there, it's gonna be so much easier because you're gonna know exactly where it goes. And when you're down there with a hand mirror, use your other hand to like move stuff around so you can, like, as if you were going to put a tampon in. And I'll explain that later. That probably doesn't make any sense right now. So I am right-handed, so I will take, we'll say this, the tampon. I use my right hand, obviously, to put it in. My left hand, though, is just as important, if not important, because I use my I have to think of how I do this. I use my pointer finger and my middle finger, and this is what I use. People may get gross at it, but like, this is what you use to move your lips apart, your labias apart, and so you can like actually, cause you can't if you just leave them alone. Like, they're there to like protect it, if you will. So you kind of gotta like move them apart to like get it in there and make it a lot easier. And that's one of the biggest tips, and that's one of the things I wish someone would explain, like, girl, you gotta move your lips out of your way. And I remember when I was younger and, you know, first exploring my body and learning about tampons and all of that stuff, and just being like a teenager, I was like really scared of my vagina, if not like grossed out. But I wish someone would have been like, no, do not be grossed out. Your vagina is a beautiful, wonderful, powerful thing. Like, think of all the things your vagina can do. Not only does it bleed once a month and you're living, like, I always thought that was the coolest thing as a high schooler, but you can create life and give birth through your vagina. And that is just absolutely incredible to me. So of all people, you should not be ashamed or grossed out or embarrassed by your vagina. Like, you should be best buds with it, and you should know what's going on, you should know what it looks like, and all that jazz. So that's my other tip, is do not be afraid or ashamed or grossed out by your vagina, because you should love it. The next piece of advice is you have to relax. You have to relax when you're trying to do anything, whether you're putting a tampon, well, I'll just stop talking about everything else, but tampons, you have to relax when you're trying to put a tampon in. I don't have any light absorbencies. I think this is actually a super, so this may look gigantic to some of you girls, but you have to relax and you have to not be in a rush, because that's just gonna make you even more like, oh my god, I gotta get it out now. You have to give yourself plenty of time. Go in there like a Saturday or whatever and be like, okay, I've got an hour in here if I need to figure this out. And just, you know, go into the bathroom, like bring a book or like something and just sit there and like chill out for a while. Put your tampon out, like assimilate yourself to it and be like, hey, we're gonna do this, and just breathe and relax. And when you feel like you're like, okay, I'm ready to do this, I'm not like, because when you get really like nervous or you tense up, then you clench your muscles, and it is impossible to get anything in here if you're clenching your muscles. So like think of this as your vagina. If you're like and really nervous and like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this, you're gonna clench it up like this. You have to have it to where it's like, hey, what's up, like let's do this. I just turned my hand into a ducking vagina. Anyways, so get the lightest absorbents you can. If the only ones that are in your house are super plus or even regular, because that's what your older sister, your mom uses, go like, hey, like I want to try out tampons, can we go get some light absorbencies, because bigger ones scare me. And most of the time they're like, yeah, let's go get you light absorbency ones, because they want you to be comfortable with your body and figure it out. Hopefully they do. Hopefully. So you want one that has a really nice applicator, a really nice insertion point, because this is what's going to be going in. So if this, stay away. I think the first tampon I tried was a cardboard tampon, and if you don't know what those are, you can Google it, but don't ever try one of them, especially in your first one. It's pretty much like a tube of cardboard with the tampon inside, like it's a tube applicator. So it's like something flat and rough that you're trying to shove into your vagina instead of something like soft. And anyways, so pick out a good applicator, and it'll say in the box, it will show you like an example, and it will like be advertised as like easy to insert or like a nice tip, so look out for those. The next thing is like actually getting it in. Even with a nice tip, if like the outside of your vagina is too dry, it still will probably kind of hurt and it will catch. So my suggestions to that is like, if you're able to, get some water-based lube. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. And that one's kind of difficult because you have to have that conversation with your mom, or maybe your older sister or someone, or a friend or someone. You can get it if you need to, and just be like, this is why I want it, and just put a little bit on there, and that will make it glide in so much easier. And if like what I do even now today with my cup is like, so say this is the insertion point, so it's usually like once you get in there, it's like you have the blood and other liquids that are making it lubricated here. So once you get it in, it's fine. But sometimes like the outside isn't quite wet enough for it to slide in, and so what I'll do is I'll like take the tip and kind of like swirl it around just so it gets like a little bit of moisture on there, and then I'll push it in, because that makes it so much easier. With my cup, I'll kind of like run it under water to give it some moisture, but you can't do that with the tampon because it'd probably like blow up in here. The next concern that a couple girls have asked is they're worried about asking their parents or their grandparents, whatever it may be, their guardians, that asking them for tampons, saying, you know, I want to use tampons, because it's an embarrassing thing when you're that age. It shouldn't be. And if you're asking a woman, they've been through it, and honestly, and even guys are like, yeah, okay, because they don't. Anyone wants to make it the most comfortable experience for you. They don't want to make you feel embarrassed. If anything, they're embarrassed about it. So don't be afraid to ask. If they're concerned that using tampons or anything that you put up there is somehow sinful, you just have to have a conversation with them. Be like, well, look, this is for like health and hygiene. This isn't something sexual. It's not something sinful. You can't pop your cherry with a tampon or a cup. I will link a video by Lacey Green down below about like the myth of popping your cherry, and just tell them like it's something you want to be able to go swimming, you want to be able to do sports, or you just want to be able to be more comfortable, because in the end, like, it gets to a point where wearing a pad isn't comfortable, because for me it just felt like I was wearing a diaper. So just explain that to them, and most of the time people are really willing. But yeah, it's not something sinful, it's not something bad, it's not something dirty, it's not something inappropriate, it's part of being a girl. Okay, so the last part I'm going to talk about is actually putting it in, and it's really hard to explain, but I'm going to try and explain it the best I can. So there's many different ways you can sit on the toilet, you can stand, you can squat, you can put a leg up on a chair or the toilet, whatever position works for you. And so kind of like test them out and like figure out what you feel most comfortable with. And mine is standing with my feet about hips distance apart, and kind of like a little bend in my knees, not that much, just enough so like I can like have access to my vagina. Anyways, so you don't want to put it straight up. You want to put it in at an angle, and the angle you want to put it in at is like pointing towards your like lower to mid back. So say this is my back, this is my bum right here, so this is my butt. You don't want to put it in like this. You want to put it in like this because that's how your vagina is at an angle. So get there, get it ready at that angle, swirl it around, and then start. And you can take as long as you want to put this in. It doesn't have to be something that you have to like, blah, blah, blah. It's not magic. You can take 10 minutes to put it in if you want. You probably shouldn't, but so just go really slow, breathe. It's just make sure you're relaxed. And so one of the first things I did is I didn't put it in all the way. I got it here and I was like, oh my god. And so I pushed it and then it came out, and the tampon was only halfway in. So what you want to do is, these little grippy parts are going to be your guiders for how far you want it in. So you want it to go in to where these grippy parts are just inside of you, to where you can't see it anymore. So just to where your fingers are like just in there. And then at that point your vagina is holding the tampon, so you can just push it in. So it's still like my fingers are still kind of like just barely in there, and I'll push it, and then it will pop up, and then this slides out super duper easy. And then after that point, you should not be able to see the tampon at all. The only part you should be able to see is this string. That should be the only part that's hanging out of you. If you can see the rest of the tampon, it's not in far enough, and you need to pull it out and start over again. But it does not hurt. If anything, it's uncomfortable, but it does not hurt, and it should not hurt. So that's all I can think of to say with the questions and stuff about that people ask about tampons and concerns. So comment down below on any other questions you have, or anything that this video has sparked a thought of in you that makes no sense. But anyways, yes, ask more questions down below and I will do my best to answer them, hopefully in a following video. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you learned something, and until next time, I'll see you. Bye.